the story of liquid gold. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. I'm going to tell you a quick story and kind of my thoughts about it. My friend Johnathan gave me this. This is a plastic container full of honey, local honey, made from his own beehives. Now, it's interesting. I liked the idea behind this story, and I'm not sure where it's going to go as I start to tell it, but I'm going to tell it anyways because I think there's a lot of people that'd be interested. I'm plugged in with a lot of people in the self-reliance field, and in fact, I have a podcast out there you can go check out called offthegridbiz.com, which we've had around for a few years now. Interviewed some great people in the business area of self-reliance, everywhere from environmentalists to survivalists to everything in between. I mean, just people all over the spectrum, but people who have an interest in self-reliance of some sort. And we go on and on about that. But what is one of those things that pulls a lot of them together? Honey. Honey is a really interesting idea. For one thing, the preservation of bee colonies and everything with a whole lot of the loss of bee colonies over the years and all the controversy around that pulls a lot of people together. People who are involved with any type of agriculture a whole lot of their crops depend on bees. And so honey is one of those things, it's kind of everywhere. My friend Brad out there, which we have an interview or two with him on Off the Grid Biz, and he has an amazing product regarding beehives. You can go and check that out, and an entire business wrapped around it. Learning how to make your own honey is a huge self-reliance project in and of itself. Whether you make a business out of it or not, just learning how to do it is pretty wild. There's a whole bunch of medicinal uses for honey. Honey is one of those things that's also shelf stable. There's no specific, from my understanding, there's no specific date of use needed for honey. They found honey, thousands of years old that's still edible. So you can put this up on a shelf for quite a long time and not have to worry about anything other than probably a little bit of crystallization, but I think it depends on the honey too and the purity. It's a very interesting idea. A lot of people refer to it as liquid gold. Let me tell you the story behind this particular bottle. So Johnathan, I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. He's been interested in keeping bees for a number of years, but between work and everything else, he hasn't been able to really spend time to really get good at it. And so he was contemplating getting rid of it. So he wanted to talk to an expert. He talked to somebody who referred him to somebody that was kind of an expert at these type of things. And this gentleman, he said, here's what I can do. Would you be willing to let me take care of your beehives, and I'll do everything for you free of charge. The only thing I'll charge you for is if we need any equipment to update anything or to keep anything up and running. I'm not going to charge you I'm only going to charge you cost on that, and if you pay for that, I'll do the rest of the work. All I ask for is 50% of the honey that comes from it. Now, he hadn't pulled any honey out of it up till now. They've been active, relatively active, but he hadn't been taking care of it as much as he wanted to. And so that seemed like a good deal. Some honey is better than no honey, because if he didn't do it, he'd have to find somebody else, or he'd have to get rid of the beehives. So that was a great day. He ended up with a whole bunch of these, and I got this as a great little Christmas gift. I don't eat a whole lot of it, but my kids go crazy over it, and it's good to get local stuff. It's good for allergies and so on and so forth. At least that's my understanding of it. So the reason why I wanted to talk about that is that business isn't just about money for product or service. In most cases it is, but it isn't always. And you got to be really creative with what you can do, because both sides ended up with something that they wanted. The one person ended up with a whole lot of honey that he wouldn't have had otherwise. He doesn't have to have the hives himself. He doesn't have to be responsible for them afterwards. This is the gentleman who he hired. He doesn't have to have the land to keep them on. or have anything else that is required for it. It's all handled. All he has to do is apply a skill that he already has, right? And he gets honey. Now, I doubt he's keeping that all himself. I'm sure he's selling it to other people. And he probably has a network of people who want honey, which is the cool thing. So he took his expertise and teamed it up with somebody who had the resources, but not the expertise and not the time to be able to put into it. But he ends up with the honey that is really all he wanted out of the deal to begin with. So it's a cool, simple example of a joint venture, of a process of people getting together, one having one thing, one having another. This has been talked about a lot. If you've ever heard, there's a great podcast out there that if you can listen to, it's called Welcome to Cloudlandia. And it's kind of, what would you call it? Cerebral? Because of two very intelligent people, Dean Jackson and Dan Sullivan, two marketing and strategy geniuses that are out there, and they're talking back and forth. And sometimes I get lost. Sometimes I'm not following along, but they have some great ideas. And one of the ideas that they have that I'll talk about another time is this concept that Dean Jackson came up with called VCR. It's worth looking into. I'm not going to go into the details, but it's the same idea about how you only need certain elements to create a good relationship. And usually you have some of the elements and someone else has some of the other elements. Actually, I will talk about that a little bit tomorrow, because I know of a formula that's similar, and it may be exactly the same, but I know of a formula that's very similar that came to me a couple nights ago. So I'll share that with you tomorrow in terms of it. You probably have something you do really well, and there are other people that do something that you don't do well, and you need to find them and team up with them. More than likely that's the case. And sometimes it's another business owner. Sometimes it's somebody that doesn't want to own a business, but they want to do what you don't want to do. And it's a beautiful thing when you really see it happen in action. It's one of those things that if there are any really good things about American free enterprise, I should say, then that would be one of them. Is the ability for people to be able to do what they do best and find other people that do what they do best and create something that's greater than the sum of the whole. You know, it's greater than they would ever be able to do on their own. And just putting those two together isn't just addition, it becomes multiplication. It's a beautiful thing. Hopefully that makes sense to you. It's just a quick idea for tonight. Go check out my book for more of my broad-minded ideas for to be able to move your businesses forward. My book is 9 Ways to Amazon-Proof Your Business. 9 Ways to Amazon-Proof Your Business. You can go type that into Google. You can go get it off of Amazon.com or of one of their many competitors, or you can go to my website, AmazonProofBook.com, and download your own free copy. That's all I got for tonight. You have a good one. Get out there and let the magic happen.